What is up? And today we're going to talk about those Atlanta Falcons. But before we get started, I just want to tell you guys to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share this with your friends and family, and continue to support my channel. We're going to talk about the Atlanta Falcons and this game coming up against the New Orleans Saints. And there's something that's kind of been on my mind this week about this game. And I got to admit this. Are the Atlanta Falcons on upset alert against these New Orleans Saints? Now, look, let me explain as to why I'm having some thoughts about this game. And look, I think it's a simple question. Like I said, should our Falcons, and I'm just speaking to Falcon fans that are watching this, like I'm just wondering, like, should we be on upset alert? Should we be nervous? Because I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little nervous about it. I'm a little nervous about this game coming up against the New Orleans Saints. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm just am. Now look, we should. Now let me be clear about this. We should win this game against the Saints. We should win. But make no mistake about it. When anyone that's been around this rivalry, when it comes to the Falcons and Saints, it doesn't matter the record for each team. It doesn't matter if the Falcons are good or the Saints are bad, or vice versa. It doesn't matter if the Saints are good and the Falcons are bad. We all know this when it comes to the Falcons-Saints rivalry. The football games are always nearly, or at least nearly always, is gonna be close. It's just the way it is. Like, I can go back to 2019 when these two teams played. And I remember it like it was yesterday. The Falcons were 1-7 and they were just awful. Just dead-headed, hopeless. They were bad. And the New Orleans Saints were 7-1, flying high. They were looking like arguably the best team in the NFC. And you know what happened that day when the Falcons played the Saints? And by the way, that game was in New Orleans. The Falcons beat them 26-9 in their own building, and they sent the 7-1 Saints home with an L. They ended up being 7-2. And so I say all that to say that, look, the Falcons, my Falcons, we look really good right now, especially on the offensive side of the ball. We're flowing. Kirk Cousins is picking teams apart with his arm and his head and his mind, just reading defenses, throwing the ball accurately to his weapons, such as Drake London and Darnell Mooney and Kyle Pitts and Ray McLeod and Bijan Robinson, and you're running the football with Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, and the offensive line is playing good, protecting Captain Kirk. Like, we looking great, and the defense is starting to play a little better. They found something against the Cowboys. Like, we're flying high. And you look at the New Orleans Saints, right? They just fired their head coach. He's gone. You know, you got opposing former and even current Saint players calling out their quarterback, Derek Carr, about how like, I can play quarterback and we can look better, and you know, Derek Carr ain't this and that and blah 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 blah. And then you look at their, you know, they traded Marcus Lattimore, who's arguably their best defender, or at least he's their best player in the secondary. Like they just traded him to the Washington Commanders, and so their secondary's not threatening anymore, right? And they're dealing with injuries with Chris Olave. He's probably not going to play because he's dealing with a concussion. And Rashid Shaheed, like, he's out for the year. He's out. And so their wide receiving core is decimated. They traded their best corner, maybe their best defensive player. They're injured, and so you look at this game on paper, and like offensively for the Saints, all they have is Alvin Kamara. Like he's probably the only like dude they have. So you look at this game on paper, it's like the Falcons should just blow these dudes out of the water. Like it should be just a cakewalk. You know what I'm saying, right? But I'm telling y'all, when you look at this rivalry when it comes to Falcons Saints, it's just not the way it is. Like it doesn't matter the record. This game is gonna be close. You know, that's just my expectation heading into this game. Like it's going to be close. It's going to be a battle. And by the way, look, the Saints have lost 7 in a row. That like they're losing. They're falling apart. Right? They just got embarrassed by the Panthers. The lowly Carolina Panthers they beat them. 23-22. They allowed Bryce Young to go on a last-minute drive, and he scored and beat them. So you know the Saints are just pissed off. They're angry. And by the way, look, the last time these two teams played, the game was close. The Falcons ended up squeaking by on a last-second field goal to beat them 26-24. And so, look, that's just the way it is when it comes to this rivalry. Like the game is always gonna be close, you know, in this matchup. That's just the way it is. And so, you know, I say all that to say that, you know, I want to tell Falcon fans this, you know, that's watching this. Like just be prepared for a battle. Because I think this is like, look, man, the Saints, they got some pride up there. Like, that's just the way it is. And look, when it comes to teams firing coaches, it happens all the time in sports. All the time. Whether it's the NBA or in the NFL, it happens often. Whenever a team fires their head coach, that first game, that team under a new coach comes out with a new spirit, new energy, new passion. And they just, because they know that their jobs is on the line. Like we're playing for our lives. You know, teams are watching us, because you never know. Like, you know, if we're giving this bad effort on the field, that might be it for us. And so I've seen this happen often. You know, a team that plays under a new coach, the opening game after they fired their old coach, they play hard, they play better, and they just play with a renewed sense of energy. And I can just feel it, that the New Orleans Saints this weekend, I'm not saying they're going to win. And quite frankly, I'm still saying that the Falcons are going to end up winning this game. But you can bet that the Saints are going to come out on this weekend, and they're going to play with some energy. They're going to play with a renewed sense of focus because they have a new voice. They have a new voice in the locker room now. They don't have their former coach anymore. Like they don't have them. And so, look, man. Like look, when I look at this matchup on paper, the Atlanta Falcons, they should win this game. They should win this game. They're offensively, the Saints defense, they've underperformed. And again, they just traded their best cornerback to the Washington Commanders, Marcus Lattimore. They traded him. And so you look at this game on paper, the Falcons offense should have their way against the Saints defense. And vice versa, defensively for the Falcons defense should at least kind of just hold New Orleans' offense in check, kind of, sort of the way they did Dallas. And so you look at the matchup on paper, like all the Saints offense has is Alvin Kamara, who's a stud, but like that's all they have. He's one guy. And so you look at the matchup on paper, you just say, oh, Falcons should win easily. But hey, man, Saints-Falcons rivalry, There's a reason why I consider this the best rivalry in all the sports, and it's because games are always close, and the record you just got to throw it out. You got to throw the record out. You got to throw it out. These games are close always. It don't matter, and I don't expect this to be no different. And so, and look, man, like I said, man, like the Falcons, like if they don't bring their A game, if they ain't on their stuff, they could lose this game. They could. And so let's just for the Falcon fans that are listening to this, hey, these boys got to be ready. They got to play with some urgency. They can't come to New Orleans being all lackadaisical saying, "Oh, we got this. We got this dub. We got this." We playing a real Saints. They just fired their coach. We got this. You can't go to New Orleans with that attitude. You got to come in there smoking hot, ready to go, ready to roll. And I think that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna come in with some attitude, and I think we'll get the job done. But make no mistake about it. I think this game is gonna be like tight. But that's all I got for today. And let's see what happens. With this Falcons Saints game. I think the Falcons will come out with a dub, but it wouldn't surprise me if this game ends up being pretty close.